Hey people, this is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And
this is
season
season
4
4 of
Pero
Pero
Let
Let Me Tell You.
Owning her Las Vegas residency because of muscle spasms. I don't know why I find that funny.
Because it is. Because you're just picturing her just being like, oh, there it goes again.
Yeah.
Oh, did you feel that?
Did
you see it?
muscle spasms?
Look. Oh, a spasm.
Muscle spasms and all, everybody. Welcome to Pero Let Me Tell You, episode number...
179.
My gosh, finally.
We're
Still in the 170s, but we're almost out of
light
them.
at the end of the tunnel, although it could be a train.
How is everybody? Happy Friday.
I think everybody's good. Happy Friday.
Yeah. It's Friday night.
And the mood is right.
We're going to have some fun, show you how it's done. TGIF. Hello, everyone.
Yes.
No, we were just like talking now because we read in the news that Celine Dion is postponing her another Vegas residency.
Well, why not? Why not do another residency?
This is what, her third one?
Sure. I've lost count.
I think that the other ones had 25 legs.
That's why I'm like sure, because I feel like A New Day.
I remember when A New Day started, she had her hair like really short.
Right, and by the time it ended, she looked like Rapunzel.
Yeah. So it was like on the 25th leg, you saw her hair growing,
That's how you tell time in Vegas, by Celine's hair.
It's funny? I can't say I'm a huge Celine Dion fan. I like her.
Right.
I like her, and she's super talented, and I love My Heart Will Go On. And there's a lot of songs of hers that I like, but I wouldn't consider myself like a super Celine Dion fan.
Right.
But I would like to go see her in Vegas because I feel
she live is fantastic.
Because I feel she's one of those like people that you want to have under the belt that you saw live.
Yes. And you know what? She delivers.
Yeah.
When I told you about when I saw her on her tour, what was the tour that the tickets went on sale like 2 years before?
I think it's most of her tours.
Yeah, well, you know the tour I'm talking about. Like, it was everything I wanted and more.
What is it she said? I remember you said that she said really funny in that one.
Because, okay, so she was being Celine, obviously, throughout the whole thing. But, the beauty of Celine is she's got this beautiful voice and all that. But as we all know, she doesn't take herself seriously. Like, she knows that she's a nerd and a total dork, and she embraces it. And as a result of that, she gives what we all love, well, most of us love when we go to concerts, which is patter. And it's not canned like, thank you, Miami, good night. Like, it's so wonderful to be here. No, she's like authentically just, improving or whatever. And so, she's like, this is like midway through the show. And she's like, oh, Miami. Oh, I love coming to Miami. Because, well, of course, I love to come here and be with my friend Gloria. Gloria, you are there, right? Yes, hey. Come on, check your body, baby, do la conga. But she did like the dance. I love Celine Dion, but there's nothing sexy about Celine Dion. And part of that is because she has the body diameter of 6 toothpicks glued together. And just to see all that like bone and limbs shaking was probably one of the greatest things I've ever seen in concert.
But she does it, with things draping from her, and
No, she was wearing like a suit, like a little jacket and thing. Yeah. But again, it was the Celine of it all, and that is why you go.
She's a total package.
That is why you go.
Total package. Yeah, I mean, there's people I feel that like you want to have. Well, or I do. You want to have like in the roster. That's why like a few years ago we went to see Dolly Parton because I can't say I love Dolly Parton, the woman, and the legend,
everything she stands for.
But I can't say I don't think I own any Dolly Parton CDs. I have a few of her songs on my iTunes. But I love everything she is and represents and what she means. But she's somebody that even if I don't know her catalog or know it extensively enough to know all the songs she's singing in concert, like I feel she's somebody I wanted to have in like my my catalog of people that I've seen live.
Exactly. Yeah. Plus, she's a great storyteller.
Yeah.
And so that again, you go see Dolly, even if she's telling the same story she's been telling for years, it doesn't matter.
Because she speaks so genuinely.
Yeah.
I do like that song of hers that, what is it called? That Joseph Technicolor coat.
The coat of many colors.
Okay.
Yes. Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat is a musical.
Okay, I knew it was a coat and I
Yes.
knew it had colors.
Yes, that starred Donny Osmond as Joseph at one point.
Oh, him.
Yes, but the coat of many colors is. I mean, she wrote it with that in mind.
You know what?
That's
Those
a biblical
are
tale.
two people that I don't need to see live.
Donny Marie.
I don't need to see Donny Marie. You know what? I guess they're not coming on the show.
Damn it!
I just find they're so.
I had Marie booked for next month.
They're so be cool. Like,
You know what? I don't mind them. They don't bother me.
You know what?
They were product of their time.
Do you want to know something really funny? So, okay, again, Cuban, you know,
A little bit.
Cuban. My parents didn't listen to any popular music,
Yeah, that's true.
whatsoever.
That's true.
When Old Dirty Bastard (ODB) came out with the remix of "Fantasy" by Mariah Carey,
Mm-hmm.
they goes, "I'm a little bit country, I'm a little bit rockin'."
Yeah. In the rap, yeah.
I didn't know the reference.
You didn't know that was referencing Donny Marie.
No, Cuba, like,
See, I did.
you know, no, like, why would I have known that? Like, my parents didn't listen to Donny and Marie. They listened to Maria Teresa y Danilo, but not to Donny and Marie.
Almost the same
They
thing.
listened to Hansel and Raúl, you know.
Almost the same thing.
Y Nelson Ned.
Nelson Ne.
Oye, Nelson Ned is on tour.
He's alive?
He is?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my god, when one of my cousins was like very, very little, we used to call him Nelson Ne because his head was so much bigger than his body.
He was short.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was little.
Yeah. It's funny because growing up, Peluqueria Rock. as you
Peluqueria
call it,
Rock, yes.
in my household, it was like Rocío Dúrcal y Rocío Jurado.
Oh.
Those were the two big
Rocio
ones.
squared.
Those were the two big ones that my parents used to listen to. And I've told you, my favorite song in the Spanish language.
Wow, that's
it's big,
broad.
It's a big, bold
Yeah,
statement.
yeah.
Is La Gata Bajo la Lluvia by Rocío Dúrcal.
Well,
That's my jam.
Well, one of my favorite moments ever with you has to do with that song.
When I was inebriated, I
Yes.
sang the song.
You sang a song at the top of your lungs.
And I was me. That's such a great song, and that song to me is so nostalgic.
Hey, who did I sing that with recently?
Ya lo ves, la vida es así. Tú te vas y yo me quedo aquí. Lloverá.
She's passed away, right?
Yeah. Rocío Dúrcal y Rocío Jurado died in the same year.
Really?
Yeah.
Was there something happening with Rocio's?
Yeah. They were like a big deal.
Wow.
They're a big deal. And you know,
Her daughter is... Rocio Dúrcal has a daughter that sings,
yes,
no?
she has a daughter that
Shayla,
like,
no?
I forgot her name, and she tried to sing for a few years. I haven't seen her again. But she was great. And like I like all her songs. Oh my gosh, you know, in my house, like many people who we used to listen to, and I still listen to, I freaking love his songs. Jose Luis Rodriguez, El Puma.
El Puma, claro.
Puma.
El Puma.
Like, hello.
El Puma was like the epitome of 80s sex symbol.
Toco madera. No vuelvo
That
junto a ti.
that
aunque
lustrous
me
hair.
muera.
Just, you know, it looked soft but hard at the same time.
Chévere. He has a song about a peacock.
So does Katy Perry.
And then, of course, it was Julio Iglesias. But I never liked Julio Iglesias.
I mean, Julio Iglesias is just like one of those legends, like iconic, but
Yeah.
me rebala.
Do you remember who used to like Julio Iglesias? Dorothy.
Oh, on the Golden Girls.
On the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he showed up. He cameoed.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
A las americanas le encantaba Julio Iglesias. Las americanas mayores in the 80s.
Because you know what? He was number one, he was the only like Latino guy to do the crossover at that point, quote unquote. He had the song with Willie Nelson, so obviously he was played on English radio, and he spoke English.
Yeah, but he also
It was different than now.
He also had that
European
fictitious Latin
lover,
crooner kind of thing going on for him.
Yeah, very
Notice
like
I say fictitious.
Yeah, very Rudolph Valentino. Like, yeah,
that
it was
you
Italian.
know the white women loved. You
Yes.
know. These were also the same
persona.
These were also the same white women that loved Michael Bolton. But you know,
this is true. They just like male cleavage apparently.
I mean, look, the thing with Michael Bolton is that Michael Bolton did sing well. Like,
No, yeah.
You can't take away his
talent.
His talent. But yeah, it's the same women. But those songs like growing up, those Spanish songs were so good. And of course, we can't have a conversation of old school Spanish music without talking about Pimpinela.
Well, Pimpinela is great. They released a song, I think it was either last year or earlier this year.
Oh, yeah?
About, like, you know, COVID or something.
They released a song about COVID?
Well, not like about COVID, but you know how, like, everybody was all, like, trying to create the next Imagine during COVID? Yeah, they did one.
Oh, it's a feel-good song about world unity?
Yeah.
Pimpinela? The same people that Pega la Vuelta?
Well, yeah, I mean, after you've left, you got to come back. Okay, I want to change the topic for a second, though.
Ya es tarde. Yo sé, porque ahora soy yo la que quiero estar sin ti. Por eso vete, olvida mi nombre, mi cara, mi casa y pega la vuelta.
Jamás te pude comprender.
I always thought they were married.
Well, because all their songs... I mean, it's very hard for a brother and sister, unless I guess you're Donny and Marie, to sing, you know, non-romantic songs.
God. When my brother and my sister-in-law got married, she has two brothers, and... They danced at their wedding.
Hermanos
by Pimpinela. And I was like, oh my God, this has to be like the worst song I've ever heard.
Oh yeah, it's not a good song.
It's awful.
It is not good.
Awful.
I'd rather they sing about incestuous things like than hear that song.
Like it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you put on a Marilyn Manson song? Like,
again, I'd rather they sing about being a couple than about being brother and sister.
Beautiful people. Beautiful people.
Such a wonderful song. But I have to ask, because we've gotten many people asking, many people leaving comments, many people sending us DMs.
About?
And I know what happened, but I need you to tell our listeners about what happened with your cake for your birthday.
Oh my God, my cake from... Thank you so much for bringing it up.
I mean, we got people like legit sending you DMs being like,
listeners,
¿Qué pasó con el cake? ¿Qué pasó con el cake? So
sit down. Bueno, if you're driving...
You're already sitting. Yeah. Enjoy your coffee.
I'm about to tell you a story. Yeah. So, as Ish said, I'm so glad you brought this up because this was not on my radar. Anyway.
Really? Because much like Radar, this is the second episode we talk about it.
Right. No, but I wasn't going to do a follow-up.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So yes, if it was in the last episode.
Yeah.
I talked about it was my birthday this past weekend. Happy birthday to all of those of you who sent me birthday wishes. Thank you so much. And yeah, as you said, some people DM'd me because last week I was talking about how my parents,
after 30 years,
after many years, never get me the right cake. Never. And what happened this year?
Despite the fact that they were always getting you the right cake.
They got me the right cake
growing
when I was
up.
a kid and teenager.
Right.
But something happened when I moved to Michigan when I was like 23. Something happened. That there was like a reset. Like there was like
and they forgot Publix cake completely.
There was like a factory reset.
That's perfect. Yes.
Then there was like, what, you like Publix cake? Like,
what's a Publix cake?
Right. If you look at all my pictures from all my birthday parties, I have the same damn Publix cake, right? With the balloons,
yes,
you know. Yeah. But all of a sudden, yes, there was a factory reset.
Right.
So my mom calls me on Thursday, the day before my birthday, and she's like, because my parents always like to get me the cake, but some years, in order to curtail this kerfuffle,
right?
I just get the cake myself.
It's just quicker.
So, but they do like to get me the cake. So my mom calls me the day before my birthday. Ay, estoy atareada. And I'm like, what happened? No, porque yo sé que a ti te gusta el cake esa de la mujer que hace el cake de la boda. And I'm like, Era or Lucila.
Right.
Because if you remember, like listeners, especially for Miami,
South Florida.
in the early 2000s, here in South Florida and in Miami-Dade,
yeah.
The cakes from Eda and the cakes from Lucila were the bomb.
It was all the rage.
Everybody, no matter what it was, had a cake from Eda and Lucila.
Yeah.
And then it kind of toppled, like it kind of
leveled off like things
leveled
do.
off. But I still love their cakes.
Right.
And my mom's like, no, porque yo sé que a ti te gusta el cake de fresa que hace la mujer esa de la boda. I'm like, first of all, you're talking about cake designed by Eda. Second of all,
you're talking about a cake that doesn't exist.
I've never ordered a cake from her with strawberries. I always order the standard vanilla rum cake with the buttercream.
Call it a day.
Right? But I told her, no te complique. Get me a Publix cake. Ay, pero desde cuando a ti te gusta el cake de Publix tanto? And I'm like, oh my God. We had the same discussion 364 days ago. Like, how? And
so
I'm like,
to evitar el problema, you sent them a screenshot.
I tell my parents, I am going to text you on WhatsApp what I want. So I went to Publix.com. This was not from Google. This was not from anywhere. I went directly to the source.
Right.
I went to their decorated cakes, and I found the cake that I wanted. I wanted the cake of the Mandalorian.
Which I told you, that's wishful thinking on your part. You thought you were going to
I wanted the cake of the Mandalorian with Grogu on it. That is what I wanted. I took a screenshot of the damn cake.
And you wrote.
From Publix.com. I did a screenshot. I texted to my father on Google, and so he gets the picture. And under the picture, I put quarter sheet cake,
Right.
half vanilla, half chocolate,
Right.
cake,
Yeah.
with buttercream frosting. It could have not been easier and more direct. We had a picture, and we had clear instructions. So my dad gets it.
They could have literally just handed the phone to the baker.
No, I told my dad, don't speak. When you get to the bakery, don't talk to them. Just give them your phone and be like, this is what I want.
Big one, Stefani.
No hables. No hable, porque when you start talking, es cuando se complica la cosa. Right? Okay? My birthday comes. And I see my dad coming in with a square box. And I'm like, that's not rectangular. That's not a quarter. That's not
a quarter sheet cake. No, no.
But at that moment, I was doing something, and I'm like, I'm going to pick that battle a little later. So then when I go sing, I'm like, okay. I'm going to go look at the cake because we're going to sing happy birthday. I'm like, they got me the wrong cake. They got me a round vanilla cake. It was from Publix.
Okay, so step one. At least we're making progress.
But it was a round vanilla cake. And I tell my dad, look, at this point in time, I'm not mad. That's
great.
This just adds to the story.
And now we have more content.
We have more content.
For the podcast.
And then next year, it's going to be even bigger.
Better. Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Right? Next year, they're going to bring me, I don't know, a Danish with a candle on it, right?
That would be great. And they're like, yo no sé, yo te traje este Danish.
Well, my mom bought me corn muffins one year.
This is true. Danish is closer to cake than corn muffins.
Right. So, I mean, the only thing under corn muffins is if she brings me, I don't know, wheat bread from the bakery. Or a baguette. And she's like, I thought that's what you wanted. You wanted something from the Publix bakery. Here's a baguette. I mean, at the rate we're going.
There's nowhere to go but down.
So I was like, okay, first off, I'm not mad. I actually kind of love this, right? I love that, despite the fact that I sent you a stock picture from the Publix website with very concise, brief directions of what I wanted.
Nope.
You still got it completely wrong.
And not even the right flavor.
And then not even the right flavor. And then because for a second I thought, you know what? Maybe they gave him the wrong cake.
Well, but it says your name on it.
But the cake said my name on it.
Right.
It was correctly spelled.
What I think happens is that they probably, again, your parents completely dismissed all of your directions.
Right.
Number one, that's what happened. But number two, I'm sure that they went and they were like, ay, necesito un cake. Y la señora atrás del baker le dijo, bueno, ¿pa cuánta gente va a ser? And they did a quick count and they're like, bueno, como por 7. And that's why you got the small round cake. Now, the fact that you thought your parents were going to get you a Mandalorian cake, that is the part that I love.
I sent them a stock picture from the Publix website.
No.
Screenshot.
No. What? Have you not met your mother?
Have I not met my
You know that she's like, one look at that cake and she's like, ay, pero eso no es de felicidades del cumpleaños. Eso está medio feo.
Yeah.
No, unos globitos. Los globitos son lindos.
Esa cosa verde.
Esa cosa verde. Yo no entiendo. Eso no me gusta. So you were not going to get the Mandalorian cake. Y menos mal que you had the Muppet on there. Because if you had the actual Mandalorian with the mask, she probably would have said you were satanic.
So next year, I'm just going to keep it going. Next year, I want to see what they come up with.
Give them no direction.
I'm going to end up with a baguette.
No, give them zero direction. Just be like, you know what? Cómprenme cake que ustedes piensen que yo quiero and see what happens.
Oh.
You probably wind up with pudín diplomático.
No, un brazo gitano.
Brazo gitano. And then, ¿a ti no te gusta el brazo gitano?
Pero I thought you loved brazo gitano. I'm like, no, I've actually kind of said my entire life that I hated fucking brazo gitano.
It's great. It's great.
And they'll probably go to like a Cuban bakery.
Oh,
to
no.
get it,
Oh, yeah. You're not going to go to Publix for a brazo gitano.
Yeah.
No. You're going to go to like
because
Cake Roll.
in And in Publix, it's a roll. It's a
Yeah, it's like a jelly roll type thing.
Yes.
The cake roll.
right.
Huh?
Un brazo gitano.
It's not a brazo gitano.
Yeah. Or they'll bring me a cappuccino cake or some shit like that, and I'll be like, oh my god.
You know, I like cappuccinos, but not as like a big cake. I like the little thing, like the little pa comérmelo en un.
So yeah, no, I wasn't mad. I'm like, I was like, we just talked about this in the podcast, and like, it's another cake fail, but I sort of love it.
It's great.
It's
Oh
like,
no, it's wonderful.
I mean, because if they would have gotten it right, a little part of me would have been disappointed.
Because there's no fun.
Yeah, but it's true what you say, that silly me for thinking that even though I sent them a picture,
Right.
So listeners, the ones who wanted a follow up on the
Yes,
cake,
there you go.
nope, didn't get the cake.
No
Did
cake.
not get the cake. You saw the cake I ended up with,
I
right?
did. It was very lovely. It was a nice little cake. It was
nice
it
little
was, it
standard
was a
Publix
standard,
cake.
and I'm
Yeah.
sure it was delicious.
Yeah.
But it was not what you had directed them to get.
They even got the wrong flavor.
They even got the wrong flavor.
You saw the text.
I not only saw the text. The thing and here's the thing with the whole like half and half, right? To me, if somebody asks me at the bakery like what flavor and I don't know, I will go with the half and half because my theory is at least you'll like one part of the cake,
Right. Makes sense.
But no, they just like they probably ask them que sabor and they're like, oh, you don't say vainilla.
But it's funny because knowing how my mom thinks, what you say is true. Because my dad's like, no, el muchacho escribió todo. And I'm like, escribió todo, but what was the source?
Right. Yeah, he didn't write it from the phone.
Right.
It was relayed.
And knowing, because I know my people, that's why I told my dad, no hables, dale teléfono. Because somebody who works at the bakery will see the instructions and get them.
They'll see the picture.
They'll see the picture.
They'll see the picture.
They'll be like, quarter
The
cake.
most they will ask is the flavor.
Right. Quarter cake, quarter sheet,
Right.
digo.
Sí, Mandalorian, whatever.
Boom, 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 boom.
Sí.
Boom. 30 seconds. He'll take. The person in the bakery will know. That's why I told him, don't talk. No hables. The only thing you need to give is your phone number. And happy birthday, Darian. You write my name. Pero no hable, because the moment you open your mouth, we're going to end up with a round,
We're gonna end up with
small
corn muffins.
vanilla cake. Or we're going to end up with corn muffins. People, as I said last week, one year when I was flying home from Michigan, my mom's like, ay, ¿qué tú quieres? And I'm like, please get me a Publix cake. Because when I was in Michigan, we didn't have Publix, and that's all I craved was freaking Publix. The two things I craved were Publix and Chicken Kitchen.
Okay, fair enough.
Because they don't have Chicken Kitchen in the
Right,
Midwest.
right,
That's all I craved. So imagine I would have daydreams and fantasies of a chop
and a
chop
cake.
with extra curry and a side of Publix cake. Oh my god! Like that's all I wanted in life.
Very simple.
Well, that's why I say my people know me. When you went to visit me the first time, what did you bring me?
A Publix cake.
A Publix cake. You know, but nope, my parents can't get it right.
That's great. I think it's wonderful.
So let's see what next year brings.
Ooh, we have a whole year to ponder.
I think I'm gonna do it like next year. I'm gonna do the same thing. Maybe there'll be some updated Star Wars.
Okay, right. Some new property. Right.
And I think I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna send another screenshot with.
Send it with Darth Vader.
I've already had the Darth Vader one. I remember a few years back.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that it's like the mask on the cake. It's really cool,
Okay,
actually. But yeah, I'm gonna do it with like the same directions and all that. See what we get.
Well, you'll find out, listeners.
Maybe we'll
I
end up
guarantee.
with like the raspberry elegance cake.
Which is really good.
It is really good, but
it's not what you want.
Right. So anyway, so I wanted to bring something up on the podcast that I saw this week that just it sort of blows my mind, because I don't know if in 179 episodes our listeners have picked up at the fact that I'm sort of allergic, like really allergic to groupthink mentality.
Slightly.
Like, I run away from it like the plague, and there's so many types of groupthink mentality, right? And I hate it. I hate it to be surrounded by people who like all think the same thing. Like I could see it a mile away and I start itching. Or getting muscle spasms like Celine.
Like Celine, yes. Oh, the groupthink mentality.
Have you heard of LuLaRoe?
I feel like I heard something, but I don't know what it is, and I haven't really scratched the surface.
Amazon.
Okay.
Actually, Jose was the one who told me about this.
Oh, that documentary, but I haven't seen it.
So Amazon did
Remember, we have separate apartments. He watches things.
A documentary on the documentary is called Lula Rich, but it's based on LuLaRoe,
Okay.
which is A clothing company.
Like leggings and stuff,
Leggings.
I'm assuming. Okay.
So, the documentary is pretty much saying that LuLaRoe is a pyramid scheme,
Okay.
right? So,
It's
basically how it happened was
the
that
new Herbalife?
this couple, this woman, and then her husband, they started selling these skirts, these ugly ass skirts, and because they're all like heavily patterned,
Okay.
right? It's different patterns.
I'm gonna look it up while you're talking. I'm trying to see.
And it's Lu,
like Lululemon, but Lula.
right? LuLaRoe, ROE.
Okay.
So then the story goes that she says is that she started selling these skirts and everybody wanted to appeal. You know, everybody's like, oh my God, where do you get your skirt?
Oh yeah, they are like, wow, that's
Hideous.
That's
So
That's a
anyway,
lot of pattern.
So anyway, and then, you know, one thing led to another. And she's like, oh, wouldn't it be a great idea if, like, you know, women can, like, sell the clothing and they could buy it from me in wholesale and then they sell it for retail. And then, you know, you could have your own
business.
shop, right? And you could be a hashtag girl boss, hashtag,
Right.
you know, boss babe,
Right,
hashtag
right.
women in power, you know, all that bullshit.
Right.
That's not bullshit, but, you know, all that
Right.
woman's
The social
empowerment,
media.
social media crap
Right.
to really lure you in for something
Right.
else. So, so they set up LuLaRoe, and what they were selling were leggings. Now, my first question is: these leggings are absolutely hideous.
They are not
like
cute.
they are hideous. I don't understand who would wear them because they are absolutely hideous. And the company from 2013 to like 2017 was worth billions of dollars with a
I'd
B.
never heard of them.
With a B. And then all these women, especially like any pyramid scheme, the ones who cash in, who get into it
First, yeah.
make the most money.
Claro.
So to buy in, it was anywhere between $5,000 to like $12,000 to buy in.
So it's almost like a franchise type situation.
Well, yes,
Franchises are more expensive, but I mean, it's
well, yes and no, because in a franchise you own a brick and mortar.
That's
Here,
true.
You're just selling the
you're
clothes
just
that
buying
they're
the
giving
clothes.
you,
Yeah.
right? De como todo, like any pyramid scheme, you make money by recruiting other people who are under you,
Right.
And then for them to recruit other people, and so
They
on.
place
and so
the order
on
with
and
you,
so
and then you
forth.
place the order with that.
So what happened was that the company kept growing and growing and growing and growing, and I think by 2017 they had over 100,000 women selling LuLaRoe around the country. So
I never heard of this. I
so
swear to God.
there are a few things that I took away from this documentary. And listeners, I don't know, maybe you've heard about LuLaRoe, because what would happen is that they would have LuLaRoe parties,
Like Tupperware parties.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Oh, come to my house, and you know, oh, look at all the leggings I had. And then what happened is that a lot of these women would get a room in their house and turn it kind of into a boutique.
Okay.
And then they would have parties there and, like, you know, socials where they'd go and see these awful, hideous
Can't
leggings,
stress enough.
you know, and oh my God, I love this. Look at that. First of all, what I took away from it is that, like, these were all white women. They were all white women that looked the same. And then the owners of the company wanted the women to look a certain way. So especially their top sellers or their top people,
So they want to.
they would take them to Tijuana to get like gastric bypass surgery.
What?
Yeah, they would take them to Tijuana. And then they would give like the top sellers like this gold watch so they could post it on Instagram.
Right, yeah.
And then they would want them to buy like Louis Vuitton bags and all that stuff.
So they wanted them to
could
have a certain look.
Right. So they could show like what being a boss babe is all about and all that stuff.
Wow.
So here's where it gets really weird.
Oh, it's weird already.
They would go on cruise. They would freaking charter the Allure of the Seas, which is like the world's largest cruise ship, right?
They had the money, I guess. Yeah.
And they would charter it, and all these like women would go to hang around LuLaRoe, and like you know, the LuLaRoe family, and these are my sisters. And I'm like,
Was it like a retreat?
No, it was like they had conventions. They even in one of their concerts they had Katy Perry, and in another one they paid Kelly Clarkson to sing at one of their conventions.
Wow.
There was a convention that they spent like $30 million in. Yeah, in between Katy Perry, they rented an entire arena.
Jeez Louise.
It's crazy, and like all these women would like, oh my God, because this is my family and these are my people, and I'm like, you're just people that sell ugly sweatpants. Like,
At best. Yeah.
and so again, it's like that groupthink mentality that I don't understand.
I've never understood.
Like, I
that.
don't understand. It's like, why do you think that you are BFFs with people that like sell ugly, like,
Just by virtue of sharing
legwear?
of sharing a business.
And they're all white. So here is what I found hilarious. This person is worth watching the documentary.
Okay.
So in their corporate headquarters, they would do the onboarding, and sometimes it would take like 2 to 3 weeks after you put in your money to be onboarded because of the demand.
So
And like
a
these
waiting
women
list.
were going, there was a waiting list. These women were going crazy waiting to be onboarding. See, one time they had like an event that they were like, oh, we're going to have an event and we're going to have people, we're going to make an event and we're going to make the event a lottery where we're going to like 10 women, and it was all women, like 10 women. We're going to have this event and we're going to pick them, and they don't have to wait for the onboarding. And thousands of women came and they paid their own way.
Just to be there for the lottery.
Just to be onboarded. Anyway, one of the people who did the onboarding, so she worked in the office. She was not a distributor or a seller or anything like that.
She was corporate.
Yes. She thought it was fucking crazy, but it was a paycheck, right?
Yeah.
She had a salary. It was
Happens
a paycheck,
to the best of us.
right? So she just went in and did her job. You know, she was a black woman, and she was very good at her job of onboarding people. Right. So all these like mega cruises, you know, when they would, you know, charter the Allure of the Seas,
right.
She's like, you know, I got invited to those cruises, but there's something about being stuck on a boat with all these white women, all these white people. She's like, don't get me wrong, I love white people to death, but no.
Not these.
No.
Not these white
I'll
women.
see you when you get back. Have a great time. So I'm like, she
knew what was going
it.
on. Yeah,
she was on it.
She was not having it.
It was like listeners. It's a quick watch. It's like 4 parts. They're like I think 40 minutes.
It's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon, but it is mind-boggling. And then you know the same thing goes on with like people that, you know, we've talked about that here, that sell Herbalife, right? I don't get this Herbalife cult. Like, okay, they have these products. The products are, it's nothing against the product. I've actually tried the Herbalife products. Mm-hmm. They're, you know, no better nor worse than any product.
It's your average product.
You could get at GNC or whatever, right? But what I think is funny is the people that's like, I live an Herbalife lifestyle. And I only, you know, you see them hanging out with like all these other coaches and they go to these retreats and these conventions. I'm like, you just fucking sell batidos. Like, que lifestyle. I mean, if you want to be healthy and be fit and promote a healthy lifestyle, that's great.
Okay, that's the T-shirt, by the way.
What?
Just you.
Herbalife. You only sell batidos, bro.
You only sell fucking batidos.
That's what you do. You like, tú nada más vende popo para hacer batido. Por favor, are you gonna come and tell me that you're this freaking lifestyle and like mindset? It's a mindset. It's a mindset to drink Herbalife. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, what? What? Like, what is wrong with people? Like, I don't understand.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
What do you think it is?
You know what? I don't know what it is because, again, I'm so anti that. And I've always been
fair enough, and you have. But, you know, and whatever. I mean, I'm sure that some people, to a degree, you know, the more you hang out with certain friends, you know, you guys start to think similarly, if not completely alike.
No,
and whatever. I said similar, not alike. So, you know, I understand that, like, obviously if you're around, you know, people for years and years and years, there's a reason you're friends, right? It's because you do have similar points of view and what have yous. But like you said, it's one of these situations where it's like, well, I work here now, so now you're in my life and you're my best friend.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
But it's not even that you're your best friend, because look, I've worked in a lot of places and I've developed really good friendships with people that I've worked with that I still have, right? Years later. That is one thing. Another thing is like...
Well, your world revolves around that.
No, but another thing is to drink the Kool-Aid.
That's what I mean. It's another thing to your world revolve around that thing.
That, you know... I'll never forget when I worked at ADP, and this is like a little bit different. Like, I had this coworker who was a total brown-noser, and I remember he was like, do you know the ADP mission statement? And I'm like... I didn't even know we had a mission statement. And he's like, I say the mission statement every day before I go to
how
work.
sad.
And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you, man? Like,
That's-
and mind you, I loved working for that company, ADP. It was a great company to work for.
Right, but it's those people who
one of the
like,
best jobs I've ever had, and great place to work with. But I didn't need to like say the
mantra or the mission statement.
the mission statement every morning. But he said it so proudly. I'm like, you're the type that would probably, you probably got into Herbalife at one point. Like,
He's probably selling Herbalife now.
like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get that groupthink. Why would I want to go on a cruise with other people that sell leggings?
And that's all you have in common.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that really is the only thing you have in common.
I like, it's insane to me. Insane. But, whatever. But then again, I don't sell LuLaRoe or Herbalife.
That's true.
So, and I'm also not a realtor.
Well, everybody in Miami's a realtor.
Everybody in Miami's a realtor. I love how everybody in Miami's a realtor and everybody's killing it.
Like, yeah, there's not that much real estate to go around.
Yeah. I mean, no, but it's like, you go to any real estate. Any
nobody's having a hard time.
Yeah, I'm killing it, bro. I'm killing it. And I'm like, okay.
Like, good for you.
Good, kill it.
Good for you. You slaughter it.
You slaughter it. So, I wonder. I mean, we've joked around this before on several episodes. Like, I wonder, like, I don't know, per capita of
Realtors sell real estate.
Miami.
Are we talking people who have the certification or people who are active?
Well, both.
Because I'm saying it's a big number either way.
I've never quite understood why realtors take like sexy pictures or like very like distinguished pictures. I'm like, dude, you just sell houses.
Yeah. Like,
and not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's like you're just like the other como mierda selling batidos. You're selling houses, and no hate to realtors. Listen,
but I don't need you to look sexy.
For many years, I tried to get a real estate license. I just never ended up taking the test. But I even studied for it and all that, and I went to Gold Coast like everybody else to take the classes. I just never ended up taking the test. So no hate to the profession,
right?
Not at all. But I just think it's so funny that so many people like take it so seriously to the point that they are.
I am a realtor, with a capital R.
And I'm like, but you sell houses. Like, why should that define who you are? Like,
no, Darian. No, they sell dreams.
I guess you're right. Just like LuLaRoe sells tights.
They sell lifestyle and activity.
Yes, and it empowers women.
They sell female empowerment.
How can a pair of like tacky ass tights empower you?
I had never seen them before today, but they are hideous as hell.
So, whatever. Anyway, so cult mentality.
Oh lordy.
So, anyway, bueno, not a very nice subject to talk about.
After this, there's no way to transition.
This week, the Parkland shooter, ¿cómo se llama chiquito?
I don't remember his name because I'm of the mind that I try not to give any publicity to the people who commit these atrocious acts. So I try not to like learn about them. You know what I mean? It's just like that's the guy who did the shooting.
Well, it's not like you're gonna put his name on a billboard.
No, but you know what I mean? Because initially,
Cruz.
Well, you know what I mean? Because initially, when these things would happen, it became about like the shooter, and now it's more about the victims.
So Nicholas, which it should be,
as it should be, correct? Yeah.
So Nicholas Cruz, who is the Parkland shooter that ended up with 16, 17 kids slaughtered in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School.
This was 3 years ago.
Yeah. You know that
Valentine's Day,
when I think of that, I always think of the podcast.
Yeah, because we recorded that day.
Yeah, we were on our second episode.
Yeah,
and then we had that second or third episode, and then we had like a special episode about that, and it's like, whoa, we didn't expect to have a special episode so soon.
Yeah, about that especially.
So obviously everybody knows what happened. We don't need to go into detail about what happened. He pled guilty this week, and I saw the hearing, and they had to go. Obviously, when you're pleading guilty to such a huge charge like this, and I think there was 36 charges, you have to go one by one and read an enormous amount of legalese to get it on the record, to make sure that it's all on the record, that he understood what he was being charged in, he understood that he was waiving his rights. Charge or count by count by count by count.
Okay.
So it's very exhausting. And then he wanted to speak to the victims and
the families.
The families, and who are victims.
Yeah, that's true.
And he apologized, and then he kind of went on a rant about drugs and TV, and I don't even know what else. Because he's going to go through the sentencing phase shortly, where a jury will determine if he should be sentenced to death or if he should be in jail without parole. So
Life sentence or death sentence.
yeah.
Right.
So like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, in what sense? I guess I don't.
Well, should we let somebody like him, who did such a terrible, terrible, awful crime, should we let him address the court and apologize? Do you think somebody like that, just get rid of them?
So I think, I think that he should be allowed to address the court because that's his right. As part of our judicial system, that is, part of the right. Also, I don't know, but maybe that was part of.
Well, not necessarily.
Well, but that's
you have a right to confront your accuser.
Right. Well, fair enough. Well, but I know sometimes that like conditions for certain sentencing and certain things is like you have to allocute. So maybe that was part of it too. But sure, you can give your statement and you can apologize. And, I was telling you earlier, one of the reporters had said, and I know why she said it and we all say it. And, what else are you going to say? This is him apologizing, hopefully now this is coming to an end, the trial, the family can have closure. And regardless of whether he apologizes or not, or speaks or not, or he gets life or death or, or whatever, those families will never have closure. There is no closure to the death of a child. It's just not a thing. Like, especially a child that dies in such a violent, horrific, nonsensical manner. There is no closure. Again, I understand what she meant. I understand. That's what you say, right? I mean, it's what you do. So, yeah, I think, fine, you can make your statement and what have you, but it just became just an incoherent ramble. And
if you were on that jury, would you sentence him to death or life in prison?
That's a tough one. Because I don't know that I would want somebody's death on my hands. Because ultimately that's what happens. Now, granted, we all know that to actually die in a jail, you have to exhaust I don't know how many appeals, and most people who are sentenced to death actually wind up just dying in jail of old age anyway. So 9 times out of 10.
Well, no, that wouldn't be the case for him because he's really young.
Right. No, but I'm saying, but 9 times out of 10. I mean, by the time because by the time he exhausts his appeals, he'd probably be like in his 40s. Because he was 17 at the time, so he's like 19 now.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would automatically go with the death penalty. I think that if somebody had a persuasive argument, I might be swayed. But I really don't know. I really don't know, because putting him to death isn't going to bring back these children. And I don't know. Maybe I would look toward the families and and statements that they may have made in the past. I know you're not supposed to do that when you're on a jury. You're not supposed to look at outside sources, but maybe these are families who, as happens many times, they give victim statements and say things like, we don't want you to die. We want you to live in prison forever, so you have to face your consequences day in and day out. Death sometimes is a much easier,
Well, because the reason
death is an out.
The reason I wanted to bring this up is because I'm against the death penalty. That's something I've always had a very hard-lined stance about. I am against the death penalty. That's not to say that there are not people who deserve to die because of the crimes that they have done. I understand, knock on wood, thankfully, thank God, I've never been in a position where I've had a loved one or somebody close to me killed in that sense, that I've had that anger or that loss at the hands of someone.
Right.
And I understand that if you're in that situation, you see it,
of course,
rightfully so, very differently. All those things. What in this particular case really kind of just, it's just such a tragedy from every perspective. Is it's not only the poor kids that he killed and the families that are forever affected by that. But he himself is very much a victim. Like, he was adopted. His adoptive parents died. His mom, I think, was either incapacitated, his biological mother. She couldn't take care of him. He doesn't know who his father is. He fell through the cracks. Like, it is well known he had a history of mental abuse, of mental illness, and different agencies knew about it, and he fell through the cracks. So this was somebody who was very, very disturbed. And not that I don't want to make it sound like I have compassion for him, because what he did is just atrocious.
Right.
You know, I mean, he did the worst of the worst.
It's inhumane.
But I don't think that putting him to death is going to change anything. And there is a part of me that feels like I was telling you when this happened, when before we started recording, that I was telling you that I saw the thing this morning. You know, he's a kid. He's very young. And I'm thinking, like, that's somebody's child. Like, yes, the kids that died, that's like, because I was thinking, like,
I see what you're saying.
Can you imagine the agony that, like, the same way that the other family has a loss? Can you imagine being that kid's family that God forbid, my kid, like, killed all these people? Like, can you imagine the agony that family would have gone through?
I agree, but once you commit an act like that, to me, I shut down any type of thinking of, like, that's someone's son. You know, it sucks that he fell through the cracks, but I'm not gonna feel bad for him.
It's not that I feel bad for him.
Like, I'm not gonna think of him as,
like, I it's not that I feel bad for him, but that's why I'm against the death penalty, because I never want to be in a position where I feel that I've lost the aspect of humanity for someone, even if that person is an evil person, even if that person deserves to be dead, even if that person has hurt a lot of people, because I think you have to keep the aspect of humanity alive, front and center. And I think that, especially from a governmental or whether it's a legal or government stance, I've always said this. I don't think, the same way that I don't think that the government should get involved in a woman's body, I don't think the government should have the power to put somebody to death. I don't. I've always had a very, very, like, como te dije,
hard stance
on that. Again, he cannot be in society. He's not well
at all.
But I would not put him to death. I would not put him to death for many reasons. I also think that, and again, it's not a defense. It's not a free pass. I don't think he's all there. I think he has.
Fair enough, but
he has, because so what he did is not something that a sane, and he hasn't been declared insane.
Yeah, they didn't go for that defense,
but it's not something that a rational thinking, sane, person does.
I don't disagree, but again, that
doesn't give him a free pass.
The minute you do something like that to me, that's it. Cruz y raya, like, you're done. Whether I can put you to death or not is a different story. Because again, I don't know that I don't know how I would feel knowing that I sentenced someone to death.
Right, but the thing is,
but I don't have an issue with it being there.
When people say that, like, oh, once you do that, that's it, you're done. Yeah, you're done. But the thing is that you need to also look into it, because his story has repeated itself. Because the same thing happened with Adam Lanza, who shot up the little kid, Sandy Hook. The same thing. He was a young guy.
Oh, we can have the discussion about mental health many times over.
Severe mental health issues, depressed, so on and so forth.
Pero uno no quita del otro.
No, uno no quita del otro. And again, I'm not saying that, of course, these people need to be punished. These people don't belong in society. Right. They belong in jail forever, right? But the problem is that you can't lose the humanity aspect of it, because these people were flawed. And in order for us to move on and try to curtail this in some way, you need to see why were they flawed.
No, I don't disagree with you. Like I said, we can have the conversation about it's why you have profiles of serial killers.
Right.
And profiles,
Why
so
were the
you can
profile?
try to identify them early.
What were the common traits? What
Right.
were the common behaviors?
No, he
What-
should be studied to hopefully prevent future occurrences of this nature. But I mean, at the end of the day, you fell through the cracks and it sucks. But you know what? You committed murder, multiple murders.
No, he committed, a massacre.
I mean, and it's time to pay the piper, baby. That's like this kid, the 18-year-old kid who shot the 28-year-old policeman the other day. Mm-hmm. Sorry, you're 18. You shot a human being. Period. And you killed them. No, sorry, I have no sympathy for you.
It's not that I have sympathy.
I'm not saying
for
you
them.
do.
It's not that I have sympathy for them, but I always like to look at the person's upbringing, and I could tell you,
Okay.
I could tell you, Mina, I could tell you also from the aspect of a parent.
There are people who have shitty upbringings that don't grow up to do these things.
Yes, Ishmael, but not everybody is the same. Not everybody's the same, and there's some people who have awful upbringings, just awful. From abuse. And again, that doesn't give them a free pass. We shouldn't say, okay, you had a shitty childhood. You had abusive parents. Okay, you killed 10 people. Okay, don't do it again. Right?
It's not a Full House moment.
It wasn't your fault because you had a shitty childhood. No, it is your fault. Right? Because there's a lot of, as you said, there's a lot of shitty people that do shitty things, that have shitty things happen to them, that don't go up and shoot up a place. Right? But what I'm saying is that I never like to lose the humanity aspect of it, even if that person needs to pay the consequences. Because a lot of these people were people that were very abused and people that had terrible upbringings, terrible people all around them. And I can tell you, now that I'm a parent, it's like, I mean, I'm not saying anything that nobody doesn't know. It hasn't been said 1,000 times. Raising a child is an almost impossible thing to do, especially nowadays in this age of information, that anything and everything can be affecting your child, the way your child acts and the way your child sees the world. It's so overwhelming and complex that even when you're trying
doing everything right, quote unquote,
and doing everything right, that train gets derailed. So imagine, when you grow up, and another thing that I always tell you, I'm a guardian ad litem. I see kids at their worst. And what do I always tell you? Or what I've talked about that several times here on the show. What do I always say about these kids? A lot of these kids that I've worked with, I'm like, shit, these kids don't have a chance.
Yeah, after a certain point, that's it.
They don't have a chance because raising a kid is so difficult. And these kids don't have parents that care about them, don't have grandparents that care about them, are growing up in terrible circumstances. Everybody's failing them. These kids don't have a freaking chance. So, yes, if those kids grow up to, shoot up a place, it's not like, okay, well, you get a free pass because you had, a shitty childhood.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that I don't lose the aspect of the humanity of the person. It's like, fuck, look at how that person was raised. This is why, a lot of the things that turned out to be. If only somebody would have intervened, and if
I
only
agree with you.
there would have been
I don't disagree with that.
to make a different turn. So
I don't disagree with that, I almost feel like that's a wholly different conversation, because now we're talking about the lack of mental health resources. The lack of acknowledgement, the lack of help, the lack of funding that these things get.
Right, but it's a separate conversation, but it isn't. I just don't have the attitude of like, okay, well, you did something wrong, now you're paying the consequences, fuck you, we're done with you. I also don't see it that way. I see it's more complex than that. But, that's just my 2 cents on it.
I don't know. I just don't think everybody has redemption in them.
You don't think everybody has redemption? You mean that from an objective, like redemption that you find yourself, or public wise?
Both. I think there are some people who are quote unquote born bad, which I know is not correct, but there are people who are just born sociopaths. There are people who are just born psychopaths, or whatever the terminology is nowadays. And like you said earlier, you can't put them back in society. I don't know if the death penalty is the answer, but I'm just saying, you got to just throw the book at them, whatever that book means.
Okay.
Because somebody who's done things, I'll lessen the scope, shall we say. serial rapist, they're not going to just stop.
Right.
The recidivism rate is huge. So you need to do what you need to do to take that person out of the quote unquote, society as a whole, because they will not stop.
What about pedophiles? Because that's a really controversial one.
Pedophiles,
pedophilia is a mental illness.
It's a mental illness.
It is classified as a mental illness. So these are people who are born ill.
The difference is that the difference, as far as I know, is that with pedophilia, you do at least have, and I guess with serial rapists too, you do have the option of chemical castration as well. So in theory, you have something that can be offered for someone who wishes to, really just turn that off.
Oh, okay. Well, let's stop that there, because we are not going to have a conversation of pedophilia on Pero Let Me Tell You. We're just not.
We're just not.
We talk about heavy subjects here sometimes.
We're going to draw the line there.
Right. Yes.
Yes. We found the line.
Yes, we found the line.
We found the line.
Pedophilia, we are not going to talk about it, Pero Let Me Tell You. Pedophilia is bad. It's horrible. It's disgusting. It's bad.
We will never say otherwise.
We are not going to talk about that on Pero Let Me Tell You.
I think we've said all we need to say.
Yeah, we all need to say. Let's talk about my cake again.
Let's talk, exactly. Just like, actually, how are you talking about the cake for so long? I want cake.
I know I want cake too.
Do you still have some cake left? No.
No.
Damn it. Because you had like 45 cakes.
Where can we have cake at this time?
Danny's is the only place. Hasta ahora.
Cake? Denny's no tiene any.
They have like a chocolate cake.
Denny's doesn't have dessert anymore. Denny's ahora tiene el mismo apple strudel de ese, la mierda esa de ahí, whatever, and
Batido. But not Herbalife batidos.
No. Not Herbalife batidos. That's funny. So, anyway, this has made me thirsty.
Has it?
Yes.
All right. So, do you want to go first? Or
No, you go first. I always feel that I go first.
You really don't. You pass it off to me a lot of times.
So, okay.
So, I'm actually going to give my last soda, and this is like, it's kind of a dated soda, but I'm going to give my last soda to Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, she's gotten our soda before.
She has, but I'm going to give it to her for a very specific reason.
Okay, dime.
So, a couple weeks ago, and I say a couple weeks because I really don't remember when this happened, they had the people from Shark Tank on, and Barbara Corcoran was on, and apparently Barbara Corcoran made some type of a crack about Whoopi's weight, or said something that of course in this day and age became.
Wait, I missed this
because she said because Whoopi said something like, oh, I'll send you some of my clothes or whatever, and Barbara said like, oh, I can't fit in your clothes or something like that, right? Something to that effect.
Barbara, you said that to Whoopi.
But here's the thing. Everybody ran with it and, made it a big deal. And Barbara Corcoran is fat shaming Whoopi Goldberg and this and that and blah, 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 right? So eventually, they got around to asking Whoopi, somebody got around to asking her, oh, well, what happened? Blah, blah. And, do you have any bad feelings or whatever? And she said, like, no, it's not weird between us. That's who she is. And no, it takes a lot more to offend me. I've known her too long. We've known each other 25 years, Goldberg said. So I'm giving her the last soda because Whoopi, again, I do think it takes a lot to offend Whoopi. But I love her reply in a way was something that I think you and I have talked about a couple times, which is, a veces la gente se ofenden por parte de la gente without knowing the story behind it.
Yeah, or that was not you. Shut up.
Right.
Sit down.
Because there are times where I'm sure you've said things to me and I've said things to you that a passerby would be like, but why are they saying such hurtful things or whatever? And it's like, no, we've known each other for 30 years. You know how I mean something and I know how you mean something. And, what we say is like brothers, like siblings. You can say shit to each other and hasta donde puedes llegar.
Right.
So I'm giving it to her for basically making that statement. And in this day and age, most people would be like, not most people, but a lot of people would be like, I was so shocked and saddened by her comments.
Cancel Shark Tank.
In this day and age, we should celebrate all of the bodies and this and that and blah, blah. And she basically came out and she's just like, no, whatever. I've known her for 25 years. Like, it didn't affect me.
I'm not watching Shark Tank.
Move
Get
on,
her off.
So, Whoopi Goldberg.
Well, there we go.
I just popped my knee.
That's wonderful.
That was very loud.
So, I'm going to make it short and sweet. I'm going to give my last soda to Colin Powell, who we lost this week.
That's right.
I can't say I always agreed with him politically. He's a Republican, but he was a man of integrity, and he's a man that military man who defended our country, and most importantly, recently. He did not take part in the big lie, and he shot out, he was very critical of the Trump administration and, and very vocal about what's right. And, even if I disagree with somebody politically, I have to at least give
when somebody has integrity, they have integrity.
Give them that. And I think when it came down to that, to being a class act, when it came to, the foundation of our democracy.
It's a little thing.
He was on the right side of it. So,
and for the record, yes, he died from complications of COVID. Yes, he was vaccinated, but also he had a form of blood cancer, which also affects his immune system.
Right.
So, and I bring that up because a lot of people are like, oh, look, even with the vaccine, he died. And it's like, well, yes, but he also had blood cancer and he was 84.
Yeah. So this soda is for you. Oh, I yawned.
But okay. It's because you don't have cake.
I really want Cake by the Ocean now.
That's just...
I keep on hoping.
That's a lot of sand.
Good song. I freaking
song.
love that song. Okay, quick. What song do you like more? Do you like that song?
Okay.
Or... cause you're so sexy, beautiful, and everybody
Jealous?
I'm jealous. What song do you like more?
They're kind of different, so I don't know if I can compare them. I'm gonna go with Cake by the Ocean.
Me too. I like Jealous.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go. There's something more fun about.
Yeah, Cake by the Ocean came out of nowhere because you thought Joe Jonas' solo career was over.
Yeah,
although he is technically with that band that he did,
DNC.
But that song is good.
Yeah,
I like Jealous.
No, it's a good song, but it's very different than Cake by the Ocean.
Yeah, but it's a Jonas song.
That's true. So. Still waiting for Kevin's solo.
It's not happening.
Is he the fetch of the Jonas Brothers?
Well, you know what? Maybe he is, because I think that Kevin Jonas gets a lot of attention for being Kevin Jonas.
For not getting attention?
For not getting attention.
Yeah. And that's hard to do.
Yeah.
That is very hard to get attention for not getting attention.
Right. So... who's getting attention now? It's like,
I know. He should talk to Chrissy Teigen so she can learn how,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Whenever she gets over what she gets over, oh, my God. The comeback tour.
Really?
Going through all these, like, I lost myself and I need to find myself. And I was lost within my head. And
yeah. Okay, great.
And
Moving
I really
on.
needed, and John was so supportive, and I really needed to like sit back and really look inside and find the person that I am, because there was just so much noise. There's just so much noise.
Does she have so much choreography in her head?
Yes, there's just so much noise, and I said things and put things on social media.
All these comeback tours are the same.
Yeah, that I shouldn't have put, and I regret that because I hurt people. and I don't want to hurt people. I'm a lover. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm a reality star.
I've suffered a loss.
Yeah. And I just, yeah. And I just, my husband, John is so amazing. There, you just heard the
we just did it for you. Christy, you don't even have to go. You don't even have to do it anymore.
Because all of me loves...
Que pareja me cae mal.
Okay, well, no, they're not coming on the show either. So with that, on that
was
note,
the object of this episode. Let's knock people out.
We hope everybody listened, laughed, and learned. Remember to grab your pastelito, your croqueta, and your cafecito. And thank you so much for joining us this week, everybody. Have a great weekend, pero weekend. Thank you for joining us.
Cuídense, mi gente.
Bye.
Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.